Hello everyone. Today we're taking a look at Wings of Fire, another team member of Shoe is Hot. Wings of Fire is the most agile member of the team, and its primary contests were Dodgy Zook, Merry-Go Zook, Zook Tag, and Ready Steady Zook. As I mentioned in the team overview, I believe this role is stretched a bit. The main contests I have in mind with this are Zook Tag and Ready Steady Zook. While both of them require speed and good turning, I would say Zook Tag favours speed and a bit more weight, whereas Ready Steady Zook demands much tighter cornering, which makes additional speed or weight a big challenge. Something built for Ready Steady Zook can still be a reliable choice for Tag, but it will have a tough time against something more specialised. Wings of Fire is actually a modified version of Mr. Bugface, who, if you don't know, is a Zook built dedicated to Tag. So, a lot of my efforts were turning Mr. Bugface into something that can perform at Ready Steady Zook. So, what's required? Firstly, tight cornering. This can help with every contest, but it is absolutely necessary for Ready Steady Zook. There are some turns that will send the Zook off the table if not prepared for. Next, avoiding getting stuck. This is mainly for Dodgy Zook. We don't want our Zook hitting obstacles, but if they do, we want them to recover quickly and not get stuck. We also want to handle contact with other Zooks well. In particular, Merry-Go Zook and Zook Tag involve collisions with the opponent's Zook. We want our Zook to still perform well even if another Zook rams into it. Finally, as usual, speed should go without saying. Firstly, it's worth addressing the toughest corners the Zook has to take on. There are two corners in particular in Ready Steady Zook that are a problem, one at each end of the table. They're dangerous because they're close to the edge of the table and the Zook has quite a long straight before each of them to pick up speed. When I say tight cornering, I don't just mean the angle. I also mean how much or little the Zook drifts when taking a turn, and these corners give very little room for drifting. If the Zook can handle these corners, then it's unlikely its turning will be a problem in any other contest. Let's first take a look at its smoothness and sharpness. Unsurprisingly, it has quite high sharpness, but these exact values will affect other Zooks differently, so experiment to find out what's good for yours. You might have noticed the part targeting in the body, and I left the part targeting angle at 45 degrees. Too much or too little can lead to unnecessary drifting. One of the most important things for tight cornering is grip. Let's take a look at the leg movement path, as this plays a big role. Like Shokyaku, we've added extra IK points, but a lot more this time. Where the leg makes contact with the ground, we have 8 arrows or gaps between the IK points. When it's off the ground, we only have 2. This means each of the legs will spend 80% of their time on the ground, or to put it differently, at any given time, the Zook will have roughly 80% of its legs on the floor. This substantially improves its grip and lets it get away with a lot more speed and weight than it otherwise would. One thing that makes tight cornering difficult is momentum, which is down to the Zook's speed and weight. And compared with Mr. Bugface, I made Wings of Fire lighter and a bit slower. Slowing the Zook down to ensure it turns well can be a bitter pill to swallow, but it's better than it being unable to complete the contests it was intended to do. It's not that hard to make a Zook do a perfect run of Dodgy Zook, avoiding contact with all the walls. It just needs to be fast enough to reach the gaps before they close, and the turning doesn't even need to be that good. I even have a video from years ago showing a Zook achieving this, and it wasn't even the first. However, this is all assuming your Zook was picked as the green team. On the red side, the Zook is set up for collision, so you need to be prepared for it. There are two main ways the Zook can get caught. The first is on the side as it's trying to go through a gap. Reducing the overall width of the Zook minimises the chance of this happening. This is one of the reasons why Wings of Fire has such short legs. The wings also help here by minimising this catchment area between the legs and the head, which helps it escape if it does get hit. The other way to get stuck, I would say, is one of the toughest yet often overlooked obstacles, and that is breaking free from a wall that the Zook has made a head-on collision with. When Zooks try to turn and get out, they often end up kicking the wall, which prevents them from escaping. Once again, short legs help here by minimising the chance of wall kicking. This tongue or lick of flame also comes into play. By giving the Zook an extra bit of distance before any other part hits the wall, it has a much better chance of turning enough to escape. It doesn't matter how agile our Zook is if the opponent can just knock it over or knock it off the table. Making the Zook low to the ground helps here. Even if it does get knocked, it's more likely to stay on its feet rather than get toppled. The sloped, rounded body shape also helps with collisions. Ideally, we want our Zook to go under the opponent's, so our Zook keeps its legs on the ground while compromising the opponent's. Finally, weight is important here, as it's your Zook's momentum or inertia versus theirs. It can be difficult to add weight without compromising agility, but even a small amount can help minimise the damage of a collision. The extra grip Wings of Fire has with its legs helps it carry a bit more weight than it otherwise could. Wings of Fire isn't that fast, but it's made as fast as it can be without compromising its primary contests. Ultimately, you have a sort of budget for speed, turning, and weight, and the more you give to one, the more you have to take from another. That being said, there are a couple of features that allow us to get away with a bit of extra speed and drifting. Firstly, short legs are important here to reduce the overall width of the Zook, giving some extra breathing room between it and the obstacles or the edge of the table. To preserve speed despite the shorter legs, double cycles are used here. I would say this role benefits the most from double cycles because of how beneficial it is to reduce the width while maintaining speed. If for whatever reason you can't have double cycles, you can achieve similar results with longer legs by either inlaying them onto the body or even crossing them to reduce the overall width. The tongue and its part targeting also comes into play here, providing an extra bit of distance between the rest of the Zook and its target, effectively allowing the Zook to start its turn towards the next target earlier, which provides a bit more room for drifting. Wings of Fire could have been a second choice for many contests, but Shoukyaku's extra power usually made it the preferred choice. With its very low contact with obstacles and a bit of weight, it's actually quite good at marbles and smash. If you're looking for a good weight tier for an agile Zook to hit, a practical option is just enough to allow it to do these contests to make it a solid backup. As for the third choices, they were somewhat of a last resort, but its body shape, designed for good contact with other Zooks, might have been useful in sumo. I hope this overview was helpful in some way. I just wanted to stress that the scope of your contest choices can really change what you need to prioritize. And if your team can afford to give an agile role fewer contests, you will have a much easier time either making something fast or better at cornering. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to take a look at Wings of Fire, you can find and download it on zooklabs.com.